stop slouching.
Alright. Take two.
You went too far away, we're in a good spot.
I think we're good.
Good.
Hi Jess, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. So we'll be working together.
Amazing, good. I was worried about that.
Oh, well, I'm happy. I'm happy that you're back, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Was it easier to park this time?
Yes.
Okay.
After you gave me those tips last time, I got it this time. I was very happy about it.
I know, it's a pain here, no
Mhm.
question. So how have you been? I mean, it's been a couple weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's still pretty problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Still not feeling super great,
Mm-hmm.
but I have had this to look forward to. I knew I was coming back. I knew that we would get some stuff going. So it's been a little bit easier, but still really tough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I said this last time, but I just want to repeat how I think it's really courageous of you to come and to be working on this.
Thank you.
It's a big step. Yeah. Well, today we're going to be going over a treatment plan. You know, we will decide. At the end of last session, you actually had some specific goals that you wanted to work towards, and so I'll check in to see if like which ones are most important, and then we'll together make up a plan, and we'll go on our way. I'll get into it a little bit more, but I do want to check in because I know that last time when we were talking, you talked about. I know that you said you feel safe, and I just want to make sure that. I'm checking in on that in your home situation. Are you still feeling safe at home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty isolated. Like my husband and I aren't talking about anything. We still sleep in separate rooms, but I still feel like I can remove myself, and seeing as we're not interacting, I don't feel like I'm in any sort of danger.
Okay. Are there weapons in the home?
My husband has some guns that he hunts with, but they're in a safe.
Okay. And you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do feel safe, because that is pretty. Obviously that's an important piece, and we got to make sure that that's okay.
Yeah.
You're fine. All right. Well, I'll be checking in. It's not unusual for us here to make sure that we're checking in each time to see if anything changes, or if you feel like you need more assistance or more of a plan in case things get hard at home.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, as I said, when we left off last time, some of what you pointed out that you wanted to work on included the intrusive thoughts that were interfering with your life. Are you still having intrusive thoughts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And another big goal that you had identified was trying to cut down on drinking.
Yeah, that is still a really big one.
Okay.
I would say that, and when it comes to the intrusive thoughts, they're just intervening and like interfering with my everyday. So I just want to get them to a point where I can still function and feel like I can get through my day without feeling like there's a literal war going on inside of my head all the time.
That sounds really hard. Well, I think in our treatment plan, I don't know about you, but I would suggest that we just tackle those two. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good to me.
Because we don't want to get into too big. These are both big things to start with. And as I said, they do correlate with what you had said before. Do you have a preference for which one you want to sort of talk about first?
I feel like if we get the intrusive thoughts down, that might help the drinking afterwards. So let's start with that one.
Okay, let's do that. I'm going to ask you, would you like me to write this down? I can show you. We're just filling out this treatment planning worksheet, and I'll just go ahead and do it.
Okay.
And we can always revisit these. We're going to be doing this. We'll make up a plan. We'll decide how long we'll work on it. And as I said, we can always, it's a living document. We can always update it.
Okay.
Check in to see if it's working or not. And with this plan, there will be homework for you to do at home, and you'll be bringing it back, and then we'll have time in our sessions to just talk about whatever comes up or what you need to discuss, but then also we'll have a chance to look over and talk about some of the homework that you do in your house and whether it's helping and how it's affecting it. Okay. All right, so then for the problem, if you can just describe, we said intrusive thoughts. If you can say, if you can tell me a little bit more about how often they happen, if you feel comfortable, what are some of the nature of them?
Yeah, I would say it's almost daily, but just from the time that I wake up, I just keep thinking about like everything that has gone wrong in the last few years and just how unhappy I am with how everything has turned out, where I ended up. And so it's just starting to interfere with my ability to like clean my house and go to work. So that was like my final breaking point, like not being able to go to work. Like that is not okay with me.
And how often does that happen that you aren't able to go to work?
I would say probably at least once a week now. And I used to have perfect attendance. I used to never miss work. So it really is not normal for me.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a big change. Right now, what is it that you're doing in response when they come on?
I pretty much just stay in bed all day. I mean, I have 3 dogs at home, so I like get up throughout the day to let them out, but most of the time I just feel so drained and tired that all I can do is lay around for the day. Just like watch movies and try to distract myself, but it doesn't always work.
Do you know, intrusive thoughts are actually fairly common, not as, for many people, they may not interfere with life. Intrusive thoughts just mean the thoughts that they're coming at you without you thinking. Now, our brains, we can't stop the thoughts, but as you were saying, we can learn how to coexist with them. And I don't know if have you ever done the pink elephant exercise?
No.
Okay, well you can bear with me with this one. Because I think it's fairly common for people when they're having thoughts, and this is a pretty natural response that we say, well, I'm just going to distract myself. But if you can close your eyes right now, just close your eyes, and if you can, I want you not to think of a pink elephant. Okay, don't think of a pink elephant. Really don't. Try to take a minute or so. Don't think of a pink elephant. Really work hard to not think of a pink elephant. All right, you can open your eyes. Did it work?
No, I tried to think about my dogs and I just kept picturing that damn pink elephant, so.
I know, it's a silly exercise, but the point is just, and it's natural, many of us do this. When we have thoughts we don't want, and sometimes if they're small thoughts, we can distract ourselves, we can try, but it sounds like you have existential thoughts coming in, you have some pretty weighty thoughts coming in, and in some ways, the more we try to not think about them, they take up more space. We're giving them more meaning. We're giving them that much more weight. Again, I'm not saying that they aren't weighty or important. It's just one of the ways, and one of an effective way to help deal with the intrusive thoughts is to try to learn strategies to stay present, strategies to learn how to, like I said, coexist with the thoughts. They're going to, you can't control what you think. You can't control what meaning you give to what you think. And eventually, hopefully, they can just be on this, eventually, hopefully they do go away, or you can slowly put them in the corner and go on with your day. You can slowly, like be curious about them, kind of think, oh, interesting, that's coming up now, without giving them too much time. So there are different strategies we can do with that, but as you were saying, the goal for you would be to be able to have them without them interfering with your life, right? Or is there anything else you want to say, or how would you word it?
Pretty much just want to be able to get through the day.
Okay. Without those thoughts interfering. And so one way for your objective, like one way that you would know that it happened is if you went through the day and you had fewer of those.
I would say yes, but more so if I was not missing work as much as I am.
Okay, so that's a big motivator for you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to just change the slate to being able to get to work every day.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, some common interventions for something like this would be a variety of mindfulness activities. And I don't know if you have, what do you think of when I say sort of mindfulness?
I don't know, when you say mindfulness activities, I think of like word searches and crossword puzzles.
Word searches and oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, usually what I'm talking about, or what I'm talking about with mindfulness is just back to this sense of being present in a moment, right? And practicing that being present in a moment. You can do this in different ways. You can do it through meditation. You can do it through breathing, simple breathing, just taking a little bit of time to breathe. You can do body scan meditation, which is a form of meditation where you just focus on different parts of your body. Have you ever meditated before? No. Do you, would you be interested in trying to meditate, or would you like to try to do some deep breathing? We can always change things. Like, I think it would be good, to try to think about something that you think that you would be able to do for when these thoughts come in, to help you ground.
I think I would rather do deep breathing, just because with all of the dogs running around and barking, it's never quiet at my house, so I don't think I could sit down to focus to meditating. And if I was at work and felt like I needed to step away, I mean, I work in a warehouse, so it's definitely not going to be peaceful to meditate there either.
So some deep breathing would work. It would fit into your life.
I mean, I would try it. Yeah.
Okay, we can try it. And I would say that I think deep breathing is it's really not that different from meditation and what it's trying to get you to do. Just trying to get you back into your body and very present and being aware of the breath, right? And there are different ways. Again, there are different ways you can do it. You can do it simply by taking 4 or 5 seconds to do a deep breath in, and then holding it at the top, and then releasing. But you can also just think about, you can do that, and you can just think about the breathing, as we're saying, you have these thoughts coming in. Instead, you focusing on you doing the activity of breathing.
So kind of like distracting myself?
Kind of, but also trying to, it's both. It's sort of distracting yourself, except that it's also bringing you right here and taking, your thought, it's just a thought, right? And so these intrusive thoughts that you have, would you be comfortable sharing one?
Let me think for a second. The biggest one that pops up right now is just that, like, I don't have my dad around to talk to anymore. So it's like, like I'm having a hard time, and he's who I would talk to. So I just like cannot stop thinking about the fact that he's not here anymore to talk to about that stuff.
And when that comes in, I'm sure you have a host of feelings.
Yeah, I get like really upset. And I've noticed recently, like, it's starting to manifest physical symptoms, kind of. So I like, my heart starts beating really fast. And I notice like I don't really have an appetite on like the days that I don't go to work. So.
You know, I want to hold on to this because I do want to touch back on this because I do think I think this is related to some unresolved grief of yours. And so I think there's we're going to continue, we can work on this deep breathing meditation, and then I think also it might be helpful for you, in addition, to do some work on thinking about your father in some positive ways, holding on to some of those memorable, meaningful conversations, even last ones, or throughout your life with him. That again is also something I think in this space we'll be talking a little bit more, giving you a space to grieve. Many of the intrusive thoughts you had said, and this one relating to that loss, right? Which is a big loss. It's hard to lose your parent, and it sounds really painful. And I think from our earlier conversation, it sounded like I don't know, but you had said that the space wasn't quite there to be able to hold some of that loss. And so you have these thoughts coming in, and we want to prevent them from disrupting your life, but there's something in there that maybe we can also attend to also maybe honor them in a different way, and maybe that will also, so simultaneously both.
Good.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the deep breathing, I mean, this is good. I'm glad you shared that. And again, I'm sorry for your loss. I think the deep breathing, so it's a distraction of that thought, but I don't even know if I'd call it a distraction. It's almost like it's just bringing you now. As I said, I can do this too. I get into my head. I'm up here, but a thought is just a thought. And what, by bringing us back into our body, by bringing us just breathing, just thinking about like, let me just sit and think, take 5 breaths, and like deep breaths, and just think about me and the act of breathing can actually help bring my heart rate down and also just bring me more grounded, right? You were an athlete, you were a basketball player.
I was, yes.
Yeah, you remember when you were playing that basketball, you don't have time to think about like who you're going out on a date with that night or the homework, or because you're running down and you're going to shoot, and you're focused on what your body has to do.
Yeah.
This is kind of similar. You're just going to ground yourself into breathing. Okay. And then I think it's smart of you to, like you were saying, that's something that you can do anywhere. You can do it in the car, because I know you said before that sometimes you get some of those thoughts come at you.
Yeah.
But so what we're also trying to do is some of the power that comes with those intrusive thoughts is our fear of them, if that makes sense. Like the more we go, it's so scary, a thought, I need to run away from it, back to the pink elephant, it's just going to make it that much stronger. Okay. And so briefly, that's going to be, just for however long you're breathing, you're going to break that. You're going to break your attention going towards that thought, and hopefully to the breathing. Try it. You can try it? Yeah. And we'll see if that helps. The other thing about part of why something like visualization or breathing or meditation, thinking is always, you're either in the past or the future, right? You're thinking about something. It sounds much of your thinking has to do with the past. you know, like you said, a reevaluation, missing your father, wishing he was here, you know, like thinking back, there's a lot there. Some people will have intrusive thoughts about the future, you know, what could happen, what might happen. And so again, either space is not being present, right? And so we're trying to get back into just being here so that we have that sense of safety, so that we come back to kind of being like, okay, you're safe, you're here now, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So let's start with that. Let's just start with some deep breathing. And do you think, what sounds like a good attempt, you know, to begin with for this week? When some of those thoughts come.
Like if I'm at home or at work, or?
What's most important for you? What do you think?
I mean, I would like to be able to get to work, so mostly happens when I'm at home in the morning. So maybe I could, like, instead of just letting the dogs out and then going back to bed, maybe I can like go outside with them and try to do like a few minutes of breathing while they're outside, and then see if I feel better when I go back in, that maybe I can get ready for work and go.
You know, that would be another natural, that's also a very common way to deal with intrusive thoughts, is to both spend time with pets. As you know, with your dog, they tend to require you to be present. They're like children that way.
They're telling me.
They will let you know right away if you aren't paying attention to them. And they just are very present. They're modeling. You know, animals tend to model that kind of present behavior. They don't really exist in past and present. They really are much more, I guess some of our anxious ones maybe. But they tend to be in the present. And so spending time with pets is really helpful for intrusive thoughts.
Okay.
Also being in nature.
Okay.
And again, it's partly because our bodies are open to the elements. And so when it's sunny, like it is today, and you're outside, you can feel some of it. There's a brightness, or there's, you know, you are, so that would also be a really great intervention if you want to try to add that, just instead of just letting them out, even if it's just to go outside with them for a handful of minutes.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I could do that. I mean, they go outside a million times a day, so.
Do they have a little door?
No, we have a sliding door that we have to open every time. I don't trust them with an opening door.
And you know, I do want to say that people are able to learn how to deal with the intrusive thoughts, and to actually can eventually dissipate, right? It does take time, but I think that you know, these are two strategies that will be helpful. And you know, I want to go back a little bit too, and we'll go through some more of this, but I don't know if I really do feel like well, I'll ask you, I had said that it sounds like there's some unresolved grief going on with many of the thoughts, and even from our conversation during the intake, it had that quality, you know, to it. And thinking about past decisions. I don't know, are you a reader or writer, or?
Not too much of a reader or a writer.
Okay.
I kind of just like my TV shows and movies.
Okay. Well, I mean, part of what I'm thinking that it might be useful, as I said to you, to be thinking if we could think about some positive aspects of your relationship with your father, as opposed, I know that you're missing him, and that's going to happen, you know, and forever, and then we miss the people that we love.
Yeah.
But it might be useful to have, I was going to suggest to maybe write him a letter about a meaningful time that you had spent with him, you know, or list, if you don't want to do that, if you could do a list of some of his positive attributes or some fun times that you had. Again, just trying to do a bit of a reframing and thinking about him. It's an honor to think about him and to be missing him, and you love him, but maybe giving you a bit more of a chance to have a way through. Again, we'll be talking a lot more in here around that grief and how to properly, but I think we can even start doing a little bit now that might help and might be useful with our thoughts.
Okay.
Again, you might be able to sort of put your mind to it, or if you wanted to even just talk into the phone if you want, you know, like this is a simple, like you don't have to, it's just to think about your dad, not when it's just thrown at you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like not an intrusive thought, but actually your
kind
intention.
of like normalizing it almost, like creating a positive thought of it, so that when I do think about it, I'm not like immediately anxious about it.
Yeah, you know, and thinking, as I said, thinking about the intrusive thoughts they're coming at you, you're not controlling them. This is a controlled, it's a small controlled thought, a positive thought of your father, a positive, just thinking, as you said, so it's not just coming at you so quick, and it's not an anxious thing. It's I mean, it might make you sad, it might, many feelings will come up, but you are controlling it, and you are trying to think about him and giving him a certain, you're spending time grieving him. Okay, and so maybe that would be, you know, that's slightly different, but I think we might even be able to. I'll just list, you know, I don't know if any of those exercises, or if you want to just pick one during the week that makes sense to you. But
yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to like see what I can do, because I don't know how comfortable I'll be like writing a letter right away, but
or list. But I'll just say maybe it's more. Maybe we can just, I don't know. What do you think about just taking, even like we were saying before, for deep breathing, taking just a little bit of time to just think of him. You intentionally thinking of him in some positive interaction that you had with him, or some attribute that he had.
I could do that, yeah, for sure.
And just do that. Let's work that in like a few times during the week.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this was tricky, because what would be some barriers to doing these exercises? Right now we have, and I'll just repeat them. So going outside in the morning with your dogs, right? Before you're going off to work, you're gonna go outside and just even a minute or 2 minutes with them, practicing some deep breathing. Possibly trying to practice some deep breathing during the day, if those intrusive thoughts come in, trying to take just a little bit of time, and then over the week, working in a few times for you to be able to just think about your father and some positive interactions you had, or some positive attributes.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
What do you see as some barriers?
The only one that I can really think about is, like, if I'm at work and I need to do deep breathing or something, I can like walk away and go to like the bathroom and do that.
Sure.
But if I'm at home and I'm outside with the dogs, I feel like my husband's gonna judge me if he knows that I'm like outside doing deep breathing exercises. Like, I'm gonna come back in and he's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing? And then, like, I don't know, like fear of judgment, I guess.
You have more autonomy at your work than you do at home?
I would say so, yes, because although I work with my husband, he can't like make as many comments like that in front of other people as he can when it's just the two of us at home.
What do you think are some ways that you can work at it? Or
I mean, I'll try to do it anyways, but it's just gonna suck if he does make a comment about it. But I don't know, maybe he'll be understanding this time around of like me saying I'm trying to work through stuff so I can like be a better like partner and just like a better person and like get into work, because he doesn't like when I don't go to work either, because then we have to, it messes up our budget and we drive together and it just messes up the whole schedule. So maybe if I say something along the lines of like it'll make me go to work more, then maybe he won't be as judgmental about it.
I'm sorry that it sounds like he might be judgmental about it. And I hear you being hesitant to advocate for yourself, but that you came up with a different idea, possibly saying, you know, I'm hoping that this will help me get collected for work.
I don't really want a ton of people to know that I need help, so like him included.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have. I mean, then maybe what we can do is, if it were, I mean, you know, if you don't feel comfortable, you know, talking to him, and I don't think you have to. Maybe if it works out where you're able to do that with some sort of privacy, that's fine. And then if not, hopefully you would be able to find other times during the day. But it does sound like it's pretty crucial that
maybe
morning
even like
time.
in the shower.
Oh, in the shower.
Or if I take my dogs on a walk. Well, that wouldn't be before work, but the shower would be before work. That could be an alternative, yeah. If I can't do it outside, I could try to do it in the shower.
Thinking. Yeah, okay, so we'll do that. You can do it in the privacy. Well, this goes into resources and strengths. You just problem solve, that's your manager skills coming through. Problem solving. What are some other strengths for you to be able to, is very specific on this, but to be able to do this?
Well, I have my dogs.
Yeah.
That's a good motivator.
Yeah.
My daughter really wants to see some change, so like she holds me accountable.
Would you feel comfortable telling her about that this is this thing that you're trying?
I might try it a couple of times before I tell her, but then after that I would tell her probably. She's pretty open to all of that, and she's been encouraging me to come for a while, so I'm sure she would be excited to hear that I'm trying different things.
Do you know if she meditates or does any of
Oh
this?
yeah, she's into all of that. She's like a little hippie.
Well, if you become a, you know, meditating diva, you can go you can join with her. Yeah, I mean, I'm joking, but you know, I mean, she might be might be a good resource, as you said, because none of this would be unfamiliar to her, you know? That's
not a bad idea. I'll have to keep that in mind.
And I'm sure, as you know, people who meditate love to share how much they love meditating.
Yeah, tell me about it. You hear about it every holiday dinner.
You see?
Yeah.
What is there, what do you think that I can do to help you with it?
I guess just like being flexible with it, because this is the first really big like death that I've had in my family, so I don't know how to navigate it at all, and it does get really heavy at times, like randomly. So I guess like if I don't, like I want to go to work more regularly and not miss work, but like if I do miss work, I don't want to feel like I'm failing because I decided to take like that time off or like couldn't get in. So I guess just like a balance between holding me accountable but also like being like kind.
Yeah. Do you you know, just now you said that you don't want to feel like you failed. Would you feel like you failed if you? I mean, we're making this plan. I don't want it to feel.
If I tried
you're
multiple things, yeah. If I tried multiple things different ways for a long time and it still wasn't working, like say the breathing didn't work, and so we tried something else, and then that didn't work, and then we tried something else, then I would start to probably feel a little bit discouraged.
Okay.
So I guess I'm hoping that this
Sure.
snaps me out of it, like gets me back in there.
Well, and I want to reiterate, like, this isn't a pass-fail
Mhm.
exercise.
Yeah.
And we may need to hopefully we can find, hopefully this does help.
Mhm.
Even if one of them, or sometimes even if it helps get you to work once, that would be helpful.
Yeah, that's definitely something I need to work on too, is like accepting that just because it's not 100% doesn't mean that I like failed necessarily.
And also I don't think that, I'm kind of reframing a little bit on, it's not a failure to grieve. It just takes its time. It takes as long as it takes.
That's true.
Right? And so we're just gonna help the process, right? That's all we're trying to do. It isn't a failure.
That makes sense, yeah. That makes more sense to me.
And hopefully this will help, and then, we'll keep working, but, and I can hold you accountable, but I don't want you to think that I'm punished.
The bully? Yeah.
That's not the point of these.
Yeah.
The point of these is to help you, as you said, the goal of being able to get to work, getting to work, having these intrusive thoughts fade, right? And then transforming them to more healthy grieving spaces, so that they get sorted out a little bit more.
That makes sense.
I think how long would you like to say try these three in particular? I mean, a lot of time, a common time would be 2 or 3 months, and then we check in again.
I'm good with 3 months.
Okay.
3 months is good.
We'll try this for 3 months. And we'll check in and see how it's going. Again, that doesn't mean that if next week you come in, you say, you know what, it's just not, like, we can try something else. There are other. But I would encourage you to give it a little bit of time. Change takes a while. And I do think intrusive thoughts are, because they're thoughts, it's not something that we can just stop. And so that's why, in some ways too, I would encourage you to give it a good go, to see if it's working. Right?
Maybe it'll help my patience too if I do this.
Do you think of yourself as being impatient?
At times, yeah, you definitely get irritable, especially with like feeling on edge all the time, like intrusive thoughts constantly. It definitely takes my patience away quite a bit.
Yeah. Intrusive thoughts really lead, and also depression lead to irritability. Hopefully this would, I don't, does this feel good? Like just tackling this for a bit?
It seems simple enough that I feel confident that I could at least try it at home. I just hope it helps a little bit. But I don't necessarily doubt that it will, but
it's okay. I mean, you can.
Lots of stuff going on, lots to think about.
We can try. Yeah, there is a lot to go on. Okay, we're gonna, I'll write this up, and or we'll give it to you. We're gonna pivot a little bit now and go towards a little bit on what you're thinking with the drinking, because that was the other big one. So we're gonna start with these two, which is a lot, right? And then we'll come in. Before we had that conversation that there's a big motivator with your daughter, but you also seemed really motivated. And I do, the drinking can exacerbate both anxiety and depression, right? Which can exacerbate intrusive thoughts. There's the bit of a cycle going on here, right? And so I do applaud you to try to see if this helps as well, right? Now, what would be your goal? Is it cutting down?
I mean, eventually I would like to cut it out, but I don't think that's realistic to say, like, next week I'm going to be done. So I would say cutting it down.
Okay. And when did you want to start?
I don't know if I want to start that at the same time that I'm starting to like try these new exercises and stuff. So maybe I try to do the exercises for like a month, and then I can see how I feel and
Sure.
see if I can implement another change and try to cut back then.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that makes sense, right? So, do you want to do this treatment, like, should we make it up for, like, it's going to start in a month, or
Do you think maybe we should see how
the other
how
goes?
it goes and then try to, like, I can definitely, maybe it's just more like mindfulness of knowing that this is something that we're looking towards, and like keeping it kind of in like the back corner, like knowing that it's something we need to work on, but focusing on like organizing our thoughts, because I feel like the drinking is also correlated to my grief.
Oh, yes, I think so too.
If I learn how to manage my grief more, then maybe I'll be able to manage.
And, you know, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I, when you say, I think the drinking it correlates to my grief, can you tell me a little bit more?
I just get sad. Like, drinking is kind of a distraction, and it like takes me away. Like you said, we're trying to get back into this present.
Right.
So like the drinking kind of removes me from the present and lets me like not think at all about any of it. So.
And that's something, I mean, I think what I'm hearing is you recognizing that you trying to think more about the thoughts and dealing with the grief. And it's some of the drinking, as you said, is sort of taking you away from feeling at times, partly because the sadness from losing your father. And it sounds like you have some sadness on some choices maybe too, so which maybe are related to like your father passing away and some bigger questions coming up. But that sounds fine. And I don't, I also want to follow up and say, you know, you were, I agree that you don't have to go 0 to 100 and suddenly dropping it. And I think you have a lot to think about with this. I think there are plans where you can cut down, and maybe, so we're not going to do that plan for like, I do have a plan for change we can do, but we don't have to. What I think it is enough to do this. I think maybe in conjunction with, you know, we're doing our thoughts, maybe one little thing, I know that you've got a lot of motivation, and that's a really good thing. It might be just trying to think, you just told me, you just shared that often, you know, it's sadness. It sounds like it's after work and you come home, the house situation, you're not particularly comfortable at home still. And then it gives you that chance to think about your father. It's sad, so you drink and you go away. Just being aware of those patterns. You know, CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy is a therapy that's often used to help people. People have good success with cutting back from alcohol use, you know, and it's one of the first things is just being aware of thoughts that come up. And so, again, this doesn't have to be homework, this isn't, you know, but thinking about what it is, and we can even do a little pause, maybe thinking about taking 10 breaths even just before you have that first drink, just seeing what happens in that when you bring yourself back to the present, and just have a few breaths. If you're in a situation, again, I know that your husband's around, so maybe that's not possible, but you know, understanding like what's going on, where is it habit, is it, you know, like, do I go home and
am I doing it because I really want to do it, or am I just doing it to
just
like,
being
fill
aware?
the time?
And it doesn't mean that you might it doesn't mean that you're not going to engage, or you might not, you know, trying to just up the awareness, you know, and that might be helpful when we do eventually go through here. Understanding, you know, like I said, you have a lot of really great reasons and motivation to cut back. It'll be more like strategies, and maybe having if we come to it and we think a little bit better, like what's going on when you do. But all right, well, so right now then, that would be the biggest focus. Which is a lot. Again, I am sorry. I know intrusive thoughts can be really debilitating. I mean, really debilitating. And some people even consider them potentially as a form of PTSD if they're coming at you continually because you're reliving. And again, I would love to unpack some of those thoughts if you feel comfortable with sharing them. You don't have to share all of them. You don't have to, wherever you're comfortable with.
You asked me if I write or read at all. Maybe I can try writing them down when I think about them, and then I can bring them in.
Sure. And again, you don't even have to do all of them. Even if you want to start with one or two.
I don't know if I will, but
yeah,
maybe I'll think about it.
Or if you're someone who likes to take voice memos, just putting it in. It's a way of helping not give them so much power over you.
Okay.
That they're just a thought. But then a lot of times there's patterns to them. And so trying to unpack why is that coming up and what it is. And we've already talked a little bit that it sounds like there's some around your father and missing him, of course, grieving him and trying to go, so as we said, trying to, for both of us to go through that grieving process a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Now, that's kind of a lot of homework for you. How are you feeling about it?
I feel okay about it. I'm not overwhelmed yet. So.
Do you feel like you're going to be? I heard that little yet. Are you worried?
I have hope that I will not be. It is a possibility, but I have enough confidence in my work ethic and where why I want to get back to work, to knowing I am part of making this work. So it's not gonna work if I'm automatically against it.
Right.
So gotta move with the current.
Right. I do want, if you do feel like this is overwhelming, that you bring it to me and we talk about that, because I don't want us to feel overwhelmed by this. This is more hopefully gonna give you more energy, right?
Okay.
So if it feels overwhelming, then maybe we dial back, maybe we could change, just like we did with the drinking. We don't have to start that now. There's, we can wait. There's time, right? You don't have to get everything sorted out right now. Yeah. It's gonna take a little while.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And so I think we'll focus on this, and then we talked last time a little bit about how you wanted to proceed. I would suggest, we said that we're gonna do for 3 months. How often would you like to come in? Once a week, every 2 weeks? I know that you're really busy.
2 weeks
yeah.
would probably be best.
And then did you want to come in? Do you like coming to the office?
I would like to try to come in just because I don't want to be on my phone at home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's more privacy. Okay, we can do that. Every 2 weeks, and I would say we're gonna start with this, and then we're gonna move into the drinking. We'll be layering this onto the drinking. So I would anticipate we would probably be looking at least 3 to 6 months or so.
Okay.
I had another question. Have you had the chance, last time we talked about a practitioner, a general practitioner, did you get the chance to follow up yet? Or
Not yet,
okay.
No, I need to look into that too.
Again, we can give you suggestions, and given some of what you're dealing with, like the intrusive thoughts, anxiety, depression, I would strongly encourage maybe going to see a practitioner, because there is medication that might just help a little bit with some of that anxiety or depression, if that's a route that you want to take, or that would be a conversation you have with them. So again, that's not more homework. When you have a chance, they might be able to be another support system for you.
Okay.
Many people also, and it's possible even down the line. There are some medications that can help with substance use too. So there's a whole extra tools, that might be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll think about all of this and see if I can find a doctor.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Again, I don't want
I have to go get my flu shot anyway, so I have to.
Yeah.
I have to find one.
Yeah, we all need to get a flu shot. That's true. All right. Well, how are you feeling about this?
Good.
Yeah.
I feel good about
You're good to go?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel good too. I feel like you did really good work. I mean, again, it takes a lot of courage to tackle this, and it's I think you got this, Jess.
We'll see.
We'll try. We'll go from here and we'll see how it goes.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming in, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, see you then.
Wait, how do I stop?